Hello, Arctic Circle family. How are you doing today? Cordy here with you again. I wanted to make that ice cream machine video. What my goal is today is to try to make a quicker, easier video to understand on how to assemble your ice cream machine. Those factory videos are very informative. They're very helpful. I'm going to be covering one style of ice cream machine today, which is our 8756, our workhorse, which has a coaxial pump on it. So this, if you recognize this, this is what we're gonna talk about today. I'll make videos on the C712 and at a later date, but today we want to cover, and none of you should have Horizons anymore with the spinning wheel and the little tube. If you do, let us know. I think we've pretty much converted all those to the coaxial, this is our workhorse. This is a great machine. Now, it's very important for you to understand that if this machine is properly maintained, you are going to produce amazing ice cream a lot faster. If it's not, you're going to struggle. We'll all talk about service times. Now, I know you've heard of service times. I get it. It's frustrating, especially because it's the ice cream machine is usually the Achilles heel. Well, I want to promise you that if you'll take my advice and your maintenance man's advice on how to properly clean and assemble your machine, that's not going to be the Achilles heel anymore. That's not going to be your choke point in your service times. So please, 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 let's take a minute today and let's listen to this video. And obviously there might probably be some questions about what I say, and that's fine. Please call me, or please feel free to comment on this YouTube video, and we can do a running chat and discuss the wives' tales and the different things that are causing this is how I was told to do it, or this is how I was shown to do it. We want to make sure and put those things to bed as quick as possible because we need to do this right. Now, I'm going to start a little bit different than the videos do. I'm going to start right with the heart of the machine, which is the pump itself. And I'm going to refer to the pump as a heart in a human body. So that consists of the cylinder, the valve body, and the piston. These three things comprise the heart of your ice cream machine. Now, just like a human body, if the heart is not healthy, the human body's not healthy. The same exact thing goes for your ice cream machine. If your pump is not healthy, then your ice cream machine is not healthy. So, standard process anytime, you must take your machine down, put plastic in a bucket for plastic and metal in a bucket for metal. This is important, okay? These parts are getting dropped and dinged and dented. You can see here this has dings and dents and even some breaks on it. This is from handling it metal to metal. We can't do that. We can't drop these pieces in the bucket. We need to set these gently in the bucket, not toss them or throw them. Don't let your employees do that. I know they're in a hurry to get home, but please, please, please take them apart nicely. Separate plastic and plastic and metal and metal. So all this stuff should be going in one bucket, and all this stuff should be going in another bucket. Okay? Scrub everything really clean. You should have a brush kit. If you don't have a brush kit, you need a brush kit, and you need to treat that brush kit as sacred. These ice cream machines are very, very expensive. A brand new ice cream machine is going to set the company back about 20 grand. That's a car. So I need you to understand that all those parts add up quick. I can tell you just from right hand, this is a $200 part. This is a $200 part. This is a $700 part. This is a $700 part. You know, these prices add up really quick. The consumables are even expensive. The O-rings, not so expensive. So why I tell you the O-rings not so expensive, I want you guys to use no O-rings when you get them, okay? This is crucial. So I digress, let me back up. First of all, take your machine apart, metal with metal, plastic with plastic. That's absolutely key. Take it back, use your brush kit, and scrub out all the little intricate holes that are found on these pumps. See all those holes? They need to be cleaned and scrubbed. Hot water and a little bit of degreaser goes a long way. Scrub it with the little O-ring brush. Take the hot water and rinse it out. Go ahead and let these soak for a little bit in some Titan before you even get started cleaning. That's going to help break down the Taylor lube. The Taylor lube inside this cylinder creates a glaze. that you can't see with your eye, and it allows the air to pass the O-ring. And when that happens, you get a bad overrun. Overrun is the blood pressure of your machine. Too low and you're putting out pure sugar and your food cost is really high. Too high and you're putting out fluff and we're giving out gross ice cream. So we want to make sure we're between 50 and 60. If you don't know how to do an overrun, your reps can show you, we can show you, we can also send you a little diagram. Overrun should be done all the time. It's basically a blood pressure check for your machine. So say you've assembled it and 4 days later you're running you're wondering if your machine's okay, take its blood pressure, do an overrun. And that's going to tell you how healthy your heart is on your machine, which is your pump. This is crucial. Clean, 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 clean. So you've separated all your parts, you're soaking them in Titan while you're doing other things taken down. Now you're scrubbing. So you're scrubbing this piece, all the intricate little holes with your brush. It's been soaked in Titan and you're juicing it out with your dish hose and getting all this out. I took a bandsaw once and cut one of these in half to show the managers and assistants what was in there, and I split it open. Disgusting. Disgusting. We need to make sure that these are being scrubbed really well. Now, most of you do a really good job, but we want to step up our efforts to make sure that we're giving our customers the best product possible. That this stuff turns into concrete inside these tubes, and that artery gets closed tighter and tighter, just like your heart. You start to have blood pressure issues and you don't feel well. Well, your ice cream machine gets just as sick. These things need to be cleaned out really well. This is crucial. If we do this, we're going to have shorter service times. Your ice cream machine is not going to be the Achilles heel or the bottleneck of your service times, because if it's clean and taken care of, it's going to produce ice cream really fast. All right, so now we're going to talk about leaving all the parts overnight to air dry. Set all the O-rings separate, set all the plastic separate, and set all the metal separate, and let it dry overnight. We want things clean and dry. No moisture. And shake things out. Go ahead and give them a good whip. And then we're going to talk about reassembly. Now, reassembly, there's a couple things we want to do here. And again, I'm going to make this really quick and easy for you. I don't want to offend anyone, so please do not take offense to this, because I don't mean any offense whatsoever. As my grandpa always said, if you take offense, put it back. So this is just to help train and educate you. We do not need to put Tailor Lube anywhere on this. Not necessary. Don't sit here and individually put Tailor Lube here and here and here on these orangish red O-rings. Never put any Tailor Lube on the black ones. Ever. There's no need for Tailor Lube on these black things. This should be dry as a bone when it goes in the machine. No Tailor Lube, no moisture. Absolutely dry as a bone when you assemble this. And you're going, what? Nah, you're crazy. No, I'm not. Trust me on this, all right? This right here, also, that O-ring right there, you do not need to put individual Tailor Lube on that. Just too much Tailor Lube, trust me, and you're going to cause problems with your overrun, with your machines breaking down. And so that, I know that sounds crazy, but it's absolutely true. This is where the Tailor Lube goes. And I digress once again. Please, 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 when we send you new O-rings, and this is absolutely clutch and crucial, take all your old O-rings and put them in a plastic bag, tie it up, and set it to the side. We're not going to touch that. All your O-rings, every single one. The O-rings on the purge valves, the O-rings on the piston, the O-rings on the valve body, the O-ring in this little cap. Now, you're not used to seeing this out of the machine, but just for demonstration, take that out. That O-ring's going. All of it's going in the bag. Why? Because bad O-rings is they're not soft. They get brittle. They get little nicks in them. The O-ring on the back of the shaft. Yes, please pull this and throw it. You don't need it. If you're not getting a new O-ring kit, please inspect these. All of them. Flip this inside out and roll that around and check it for cracks or nicks or anything. You can see right here, maybe you can, there's a little nick in that. This was a used O-ring. It was already on that shaft when it came in. So this is going in the garbage. Maintenance men will provide you all the O-rings you need. That we want to make sure. The O-rings are cheap. The parts are not, as you know. So make sure you're using new O-rings. Okay, back to the heart, the pump. This is the health right here. So I probably gave you a cliffhanger there. How do I put my Tailor Lube in my machine if I'm not putting it on these parts? Well, that's easy. Okay, and this is the quick, easy way that a maintenance man's going to assemble your machine. You're going to have a beautiful overrun, and it's going to last a week of solid, amazing ice cream in operation. And I say a week because we should really be taking these down. We shouldn't really be. We should absolutely be taking these machines down every 7 days and cleaning them. You guys are going through ice cream like crazy. These machines need to be maintained properly so that they work for you. And that you don't, like, again, you don't have a bottleneck at the ice cream machine for your service times. All right, so now your finger, a toothpaste amount of Tailor Lube across your finger. Then you're going to stick it on the bottom side of this, and you're going to work that around. All right? So that's the first place you're putting Tailor Lube. Toothpaste on your finger, just like you're brushing your teeth morning and night. That's part of the deal. You got to brush your teeth, and you're lubing that up in there, all right? And so you're going to have Tailor Lube. Now remember, you've cleaned this out really good with a brush, so this is squeaky clean, and you don't have an invisible glaze that you can't see with your eye. Then you're putting that lube in there. Clean and dry, lube the inside of that. Then you're going to take just a smaller toothpaste amount, like that you're putting on your kid's toothbrush, and you're putting that on the inside of this, okay? Because there's only 2 constant moving parts in this machine, and it's found in the heart. The heart, this is a pump. This literally is just like your heart. It has valves in here that shoot mix different directions. These bands act as your heart valves. Do not put any lube on any of this stuff. Again, dry. This is dry on the outside, but you've put lube on the inside. Now, you're going to jam that piece right there with that hole there. You're going to put it right up in like that, and you're going to pop that in, okay? And that's going to go all the way up, and it's going to align up there in the top, all right? Now, you've already put a little lube in there, so it's good to put up there. Now, what that O-ring did was that sucked up all the Tailor Lube that you needed to lube this for the duration of its service, which is great. Now, you're going to take and put another toothpaste, kid's toothpaste on, and do this again just for assembly. This part doesn't move. This part gets pinned in with the pin, as most of you know. That hole, that's going to hold in that pinhole. So this part's not friction. All you're doing is just a little lube in here, just not so you don't damage these O-rings or take chunks out of them or injure them in any way. That's just for lube. So you're not actually putting a lot in there. Even just the residue on your finger is going to suffice for this. So you're going to have key lube where it needs to be. Up in here for this O-ring, and in here for this O-ring. Because this part actually goes up and down in here. Okay? And this is the pump action, which draws ice cream in and presses it through the machine, and it mixes air and mix. Now, if this valve body is not properly cleaned, you're not getting the proper amount of air. So now you're saying, well, I can look in these holes and I don't see any mix in there. Trust me, it's in there. So you want to soak this and clean this properly. Okay, so now your piston is fully assembled. Now you've got this. Make sure that you align this steel piece right here. And most of you are saying this is elementary. I get it. But that little stud right there goes on that nick. Let me get that out there for you. So there's a little nick. So this goes towards the nozzle, and that seats right in there. Now, spring and pop it. Make sure you've got an O-ring here and a nice soft poppet. You'd be able to squeeze it. Ooh, squeezy soft. I like that. And a little O-ring down here. Now a little lube can go on here, and you don't want to put any lube on here. This is going in dry. There's no need for lube on there. If you put lube on there, it could cause it. And a little residue of lube from your finger is fine. That's not going to hurt it. But you don't want to goop any lube up there. I've seen people goop up the lube in there. No. There's an actual hole up in there, and that's there by design. Okay? So you don't want to plug that hole with goop. And hopefully you've cleaned that properly. Now, if people say, well, what about the O-ring that goes there? There's no O-ring there, just so you know. That's what the pin retention is for. See, that actually holds the pin. So when you put that together, that goes in there, and the pin goes through, all right? Now, this can turn. It's not going to hurt it. The O-ring's sealed. You've put a little bit of Tailor Lube, just residue from your fingers for assembly. Tailor Lube is not a gasket. It never was designed to. That's why I just showed you here. There's actually only 3 times I apply lube to this. On the cylinder, on the piston itself, on the inside of this piston itself, and then a little bit for the valve body to slide up in, and you're in business. You're golden. All right, so the simple thing is we screw this hose on, as you know, and then we press the feeder hose on, and then we're ready to put this in place. Now, as you see, there's a little hole right there. On the pump face, there's a little hole, and you have to push this cylinder up or down to get that to drop on before you try to put that cover on, before you slide that cover up and put the pin through that. All right? Make sure that you're aligning that carefully. We've had people use hammers. We've had people pry on it. We've had people get hurt. We've had people destroy this. There's no reason for it. Once you get that piston in the hole and you kind of slide it up and pop that on, that cover should go on just easy. If it's not, call us. Let us help you. We'll let us walk you through it. Okay, a couple things to note that I want to tell you. This cylinder should be round, so check it. Look down it and make sure it's round from a distance. Okay, if that's nice and round. If it's been dropped, treat this like eggs. Treat this like eggs. These are very expensive parts. If it's been dropped and it's not round anymore, put it on a piece of paper, take a marker and trace around it, and then check it with the piston and see if it's round. We need to know if this is round. Do both ends. If this has been bent, we got an issue. You need to know that. Okay, this like I said, this is the heart of the machine. If this isn't running right, your overrun is too low, 30s and 40s, which is going to produce really heavy, delicious ice cream, but really heavy and high food cost. Or if it's 60s and 70s, you're creating whipped cream. And we don't want to go there. We want to produce a nice product for our customers so they keep coming back, and that's simply by knowing a proper overrun. We have a diagram. The maintenance men can show you how to do it. Your reps can show you how to do it. We need to know the blood pressure of our machine. What is the overrun at? If you don't know and you don't know how to do it, we need to learn these things, because this is part of a proper operations of an ice cream machine. All right, so you've assembled your pump. You're clean and dry. Your parts are scrubbed and nice and good. Couple little things to note. This tube right here, make sure there's no cracks in it. Make sure there's no tears in it. Make sure it's a healthy, clean, good-looking tube, all right? And then make sure that your pickup piece is in place. If this pickup thing isn't in place, the tube can suction cup on the bottom of the thing, and you're going to cause a huge problem. You need to make sure that you never run it out of mix. That's an ice cream machine's worst nightmare. That gulp of air that goes up this mixes with the air in the pump, and it instantly causes a freeze-up. Freeze-ups are caused by gulps of air or dirty pumps. Dirty pumps that are producing bad overrun. 70s and 80s in your overrun from a dirty pump is going to cause a freeze-up. All right? A gulp of air is going to cause a freeze-up. So let's not get a gulp of air. Let's not run with a dirty pump. Check the blood pressure of your machine, meaning your overrun, as often as you need to. You can check it daily. It's a very simple process, which I can do a video on that as well if we need to. That's not a big thing. I don't have any mix here, so I'd have to do it with water. So anyway, this tube right here, make sure you're not frayed on these ends. Make sure there's no cuts or splits. Make sure this is flexible and soft and not rigid. If you need a new tube, let's get you a new tube. We don't want you using subpar parts, because these little bit more expendable, consumable parts are going to keep you from damaging a $700 beater or a door, for Pete's sakes. These trombones on here are dairy grade stainless. Everything in an ice cream machine is dairy grade stainless, so it's super expensive. Dairy grade just means we can charge you a lot more for it. That's basically all it means. Okay, so your pump's assembled. Let's go to, I want to go to the beater real quick. Okay, well, let's start to the back. I'm sorry. This is the other place. So now we're on fourth place we're putting lube. We are filling this cup, all right? First of all, go ahead and pull this O-ring off. Like I said, flip it inside out and make sure that that O-ring's good, all right, if you're not getting brand new O-rings. And I even checked the brand new O-rings. I've found brand new O-rings that have had issues. Then I'm putting that on. And I'm going to fill that thing right with Taylor Lube. I'm going to just go right around it. This is where we use a lot of Taylor Lube, and I'm going to push it all in like that before I shove that in. I'm going to put a little residue on that shaft, and then I'm going to shove that in. My arms don't fit in the ice cream machines, so thank goodness there's always someone there that can help me get that shaft in there. But just genetics. My grandpa was a chicken farmer, and I grew up on a chicken farm, so my arms don't fit in those machines. But fill that with lube, all right? If this hexagon on this, pentagon, hexagon, I'm not sure which one that is, it starts to get tapered, you can see that little taper, and it's starting to get significant, let us know. That's going to lead for breakdown. All right, we're going to go next. It's to the beater. Now, obviously, that goes on the back of the shaft in the machine, and this is what drives your machine to turn your blades. All right. So first thing we're going to check on the beater is we're going to make sure that these two spines, these two bars, aren't bent. So I'm gonna try to show you this. As you look at this, see, as you pull these up, you're going to look across them. They're straight. Now, I've seen them bent to where you can actually see this bar over this bar. So if that is bent, your blades are going to have a taper from here to here. It's going to be thicker on this side, and it's going to be skinnier on this side, either way. If you see that taper, you've got a bent assembly. Now, the way that bends is from freeze-ups. How are freeze-ups happening? Sucking a gulp of air or a dirty pump. That's the way freeze-ups happen. Or moisture in your mix from not having your top cover on, and you're allowing that evaporator in the back to drip moisture into your mix. That's going to cause a freeze-up. So those are basically our three major ways that we have freeze-ups. These are the old style blades that require a metal backer. If you still have these, over time we're going to get these out and you're going to get the new blades. If you have metal backers, that's okay, you can use those, but eventually you need to get to the new style blades, all right? So, you know, to put the two blades on, that's very simple. Just plop, plop, and the blades are on in those little sleeves. And then you just hold them as you slide this in, and you turn that until you go ahead and turn that until it locks in and drops down. Okay, so now that's obviously good to go there. So we're going to go to the head. All right, first and foremost, make sure your sleeves get put on. If these sleeves are not on here, this will drive into your O-ring and into the back of your head. It'll tear your O-ring up, and you will put black stuff into your cones and mix. So you absolutely need to make sure that your sleeves are in place, and the shoes that go on this. There's those white plastic shoes that snap around these bars. Both need to be in place. So get your shoes and your trim in place. That's going to protect your beater and keep that thing running properly. There's no way whatsoever that you can damage this O-ring or this head as long as your sleeves are in place and your half moon shoes are in place. And then this is going to be nice and protected, because that's what protects it. A lot of people I see putting a dab of Taylor lube on this 4-spot to hold this on while they assemble it. Not necessary, but I'm not going to stop you if I see you do it, because if that's how it works for you. I just give these a quick tug. Like that. Your reps can show you this. Your reps are awesome at putting these machines together. Then you just drop that on. Same with the next one. Give it a good pull. Wow, that one's pretty stout. I haven't pulled that one. So then you just drop that on, and there you go. These will stay in place when you slide this on, all right? If you are the type of person that likes to do the little, 4 little dabs of Taylor lube, it's not a big deal. Sometimes that can be a spot where ice cream can start to seep through, because once that Taylor lube is out of the place, but it's really not necessarily a big deal. Now, draw valves. Do not put these draw valves in. This is one of the last processes. And I'm going to show you why this is so important, the way you put these draw valves in. A lot of people will assemble this and put the handle on, and then they put this on my machine, and what happens? They grab my paddles, and those paddle assemblies are very expensive. And there's micro switches in there, they tie to the electronics. If you catch those paddles when you slide this in, you've done $750 worth of damage, ballpark. So we want to make sure that we put this head in just like this. Now, these have to be in the purge valves, okay? So you're going to put a little lube on this, just residue. These aren't for function. They don't slide in and out very often, so just a little residue. Pop those in. Residue again, pop those in. All right, now you're going to put this in to the head. You're going to screw that on. Now, I see a lot of people trying to apply Taylor lube to here. That's okay if that's the way you want to do it. I recommend, personally, just applying the toothbrush technique, a kid's toothbrush here, in here, work it around in here, just right on the lip, and then go ahead and put your draw valves in and pop them up from the bottom. So this is down. You're just going to pop that up from the bottom. All right. Then this is already on the machine, so you don't have to worry about these catching your paddles and bending those paddle assemblies down. So that's a nice little trick that the maintenance guys can show you. And so these doors, as long as the shoes are in place and the sleeves are in place, you won't have any problem with the beater assembly hitting this, unless you freeze up, which can cause all sorts of damage. But again, we're avoiding freeze-ups by cleaning our machine, not letting it gulp air, and not letting moisture drip into our mix in any way, shape, or form. If you're just doing saran wrap over your buckets, not good enough. Get your covers in place. It's a must. It's one of the things that leads to freeze-ups. Okay, so we're going to talk about your pressure switch. Normally you don't see this. Pressure switch is pretty simple. Basically, this switch is what turns your pump off when it's got enough pressure in the barrel. There's a little O-ring in here, a flat disc O-ring. Make sure this is healthy and rubbery. You don't want this hard or rigid or any cracks in there. You want that thing healthy and rubbery. You're going to apply a little bit of Tailor Lube to both sides of this. You're going to go ahead and stick your finger on that pressure switch and make sure you can hear that click in and out on its own, okay? If you can't, the tech's got to come with a hot water bottle and spray it around in that little O-ring and make it so that that ice cream and the gunk can break out of there until that clicks normal, all right? So then once that Tailor Lube's on there, we're going to go ahead and drop that in, as you already know, and we're going to spin that on, okay? And we're not going to wrench this down, okay? We're just going to give this a good snug turn, and that's it. Then we're going to snap on our dairy grade pressure switch hose. Same with this hose. Make sure that that fitting is tight and it feels good. Make sure your hose looks in good shape and there's no nicks, cuts. There's something called the Venturi effect that happens on all three of these hoses. The Venturi effect is when there's a split and material passes through this hose. It actually pulls in air right through cracks that you can't see. It won't leak out, it comes in. Now this one, this hose, it will actually leak out because this is a pressurized hose. So again, make sure that there's no cracks in any of these hoses that can lead to failure. The pump O-ring, I just wanted to show you one really quick note on this. These are directional. This is the valve body O-ring, the black one. No Tailor Lube. Again, remember I showed you we don't do this individually. I know that's how a lot of people have been shown. Go ahead and do it in the cylinder. It's a lot faster and it works just as well. This O-ring's directional. Now see how this top part, this is what I'm referring to as a flat edge. I had a flat edge here somewhere, my ruler. Okay, so that's flat. You see how it's flat. Okay, now I'm going to turn it inside out. Now it's concave. You see that? You can see the difference. So this, most of you know that, simple, that is directional. Make sure that you have the right direction on that before you apply that. And the way you get these on, it's pretty simple. Just go ahead and put it on, hold it, put your finger in there and slide it around until it's on. I just kind of work it around like that. Make sure there's not double O-rings on there. Anyway, just kidding. All right, covered the hoses, blades. Take your blades. I would like to show you down here on the counter, but I can't. And on your stainless steel counter, put your blades on the counter. And make sure that there's not air gaps. See, there's no air gap on there. That's brand new. If you have a bad blade, you're going to see an air gap, if you can see that. So check your blades. Make sure there's no air gap. Blades are cheap, not super cheap, but it's cheaper than a piston or a cylinder. Make sure you replace these little O-rings on the purge valve. Okay, these are crucial and important. Anytime you question an O-ring, let's get you some more. All right. It's amazing to me what we find at stores, O-ring kits that aren't used. We find brand new O-ring kits that have been ripped open and one O-ring's been taken out. We should never find O-ring kits in your stores. Never. This is the culmination of 2 stores. O-ring kit, O-ring kit, O-ring kit, O-ring kits, O-ring kits, bags of O-rings, more bags, and then this entire box is full of O-rings. Okay, we found this at 2 stores, and it's just chock full. We should never find this in your store. Let me tell you why. You have an Achilles heel on a machine when you leave one O-ring in there that's bad.